So obviously because the New York Jets won the game this past Sunday, they got their first win of the 2020 NFL season. I thought it was going to be impossible for them to win another game, but they did it. And as a result, the Los Angeles Rams found themselves on the other side of the win column. They lost the game. And, I've been a pretty big supporter of a guy like Jared Goff. I really have. I think Jared Goff is actually more underrated, more so than overrated. If I were to pick or choose a side, is Jared Goff overrated? Is Jared Goff underrated? I'm going to take the underrated side. I do think Jared Goff is a legitimate franchise quarterback. I don't think he gets enough credit for getting the Rams to a Super Bowl back 2 seasons ago. It's going on 3 seasons ago now. But Jared Goff's been to a Super Bowl. I saw Jared Goff during that playoff run outplay Drew Brees in the Superdome. Jared Goff, for a good majority of that season, he was an MVP candidate. I think Jared Goff has very good leadership skills. I believe he throws one of the best deep balls in the entire NFL. He throws a very catchable ball. And I'm confident you can eventually win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. However, with that being said, Jared Goff has to step it up. If Sean McVay and Jared Goff want to win a Super Bowl during their time together, Jared Goff has to be better. Keep in mind, during his Super Bowl run, in which he got to the Super Bowl, the team was great. He played good versus the Saints on the road. Jared Goff could only score 3 points in the Super Bowl versus Bill Belichick's defense, and you can't blame the defense for that game. The defense held Tom Brady to 13 points in the Super Bowl. If you were the Los Angeles Rams and you walked into that Super Bowl knowing you were going to hold Tom Brady to 13 points, and you coming into the game had the number 1 ranked offense with Todd Gurley, C.J. Anderson, a great offensive line, really, really good wide receivers, Sean McVay is your head coach, with that defense behind you, I say the Rams are going to win that Super Bowl 100%. But Jared Goff was not good in the Super Bowl. He was not good. And last season, when the Rams missed the playoffs, Jared Goff wasn't good enough. And versus the New York Jets, a terrible, miserable football team, Jared Goff could not move the ball at times. You can look at the stats. You can say, oh, he threw more touchdowns than interceptions. Folks, I watch these games. I'm not on at the stats. I'm watching what my eyes tell me. And my eyes told me in that game, Jared Goff was not very good. And listen, the Rams, they've got a really good head coach in Sean McVay. Once again, they're loaded at the wide receiver and tight end position. Cam Akers, he's a stud. He looks like a really good running back. I was a big fan of Cam Akers back at Florida State. The Rams have everything for Jared Goff to succeed. Jared Goff has everything put in place for him to succeed. A good offensive line, a really good wide receiver core, an offensive-minded head coach. Your defense is being led by Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. Jared Goff, it's on you, brother. You got to step it up. You have to be better, okay? And I called Jared Goff the best quarterback from was it the 2016 draft class or the 2017 draft class? It was 2016, pardon me, yes. I do believe Jared Goff still to this day is the best quarterback in that draft class. Carson Wentz has gone to the tank. He's not a very good quarterback anymore right now. Could he turn his career around one day? Yeah, maybe. But I do think that Jared Goff has a little bit more special stuff in him where he'll show up in big games. And while Dak Prescott, by far and away, is more talented than Jared Goff, he throws a better football than Jared Goff. Well, I'll just say Dak Prescott's more mobile and a better athlete than Jared Goff. He's a little bit more of a playmaker. When things break down, Jared Goff is not as good as Dak Prescott. When things break down, Dak can make more things happen. But I don't think Dak is a quarterback that I want in big games at high leverage moments. I want Jared Goff in those high leverage moments over Dak Prescott. And for what it's worth, Jared Goff usually shows up versus the Seattles of the world. He showed up versus Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The problem is, he didn't show up versus the terrible 49ers this year. Well, I shouldn't call the 49ers terrible this year because they've been dealing with a lot of injuries. But he did not show up versus the 49ers at home. He got swept by the 49ers this year. Got swept. There's no excuse for that. and you lose to a team like the New York Jets on the road who haven't won a single game all year until you show up in the building. And again, I'm not trying to say everything's on Jared Goff, but a majority of the blame should be placed on Jared Goff because at times he's holding this LA Rams team back. And it's pretty clear to me the book is out on Jared Goff right now. He's really bad with a messy pocket. And he's really bad at times when you force him to hold on to the football way too long. Jared Goff has to get better at those things if the Los Angeles Rams want to win a Super Bowl. Because, listen, we all know that Jared Goff can throw a beautiful deep ball with a clean pocket. We know he's got some arm talent. We saw him go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes on one of the greatest Monday Night Football games of all time and out-duel Patrick Mahomes. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes in that crazy Monday Night Football game. We've seen the good side of Jared Goff, but Jared Goff has to eliminate parts of his bad side, and he has to be more consistent in order for the Los Angeles Rams to win the Super Bowl. If Jared Goff can just consistently be good for the Rams, they can win the Super Bowl. No doubt about it. That roster's loaded. They've got a ton of talent. However, if the LA Rams want to win a Super Bowl, Jared Goff has to be better. I was disappointed in Jared Goff during that Super Bowl performance. And if you look at Jared Goff in the playoffs, he's played in 4 career playoff games. He's 2-2 in those games. And in those games, he's completed 55% of his throws, has thrown 2 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, and has a 73.6 pass rating. Now, again, I'm not all into stats. I'm not all into fantasy football. But at times during the playoffs, if you take away that New Orleans Saints game where Jared Goff was great, he hasn't been all that great in the playoffs, And so we'll wait and see. And by the way, if the Saints get that call to go their way in that game, in the NFC title game versus the Rams, they're probably going to the Super Bowl and not the Rams. So yeah, Jared Goff, he's got to step it up. If the Los Angeles Rams want to reach their full potential, and if they want to win the Super Bowl during the Sean McVay era, Jared Goff has to be better, no doubt about it. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God-blessed day, and I'm out.